Calvin Rafadi in the studio with us, forensic investigator, and virtually we've got the Institute for Security Studies, Willem with us. That story, bringing in the element of gender-based violence, which we know is a massive issue in and of itself in South Africa's criminal landscape, Calvin. It is so intricate and it's so complex. Are we any closer, both in terms of police and the justice system, stopping the scourge of gender-based violence as it speaks to our big high-profile cases?
Yeah, no, indeed, it is a big problem, and it's still a long way. We still need to do a lot. I mean, the recent crime stats, we said, no, we've got mixed reaction based on those crime stats. There hasn't been. Most of these spouses, or we can call them female or even men, when they go and report these cases at the police sometimes they turn them away to say, no, go and sort out your stuff at home. No, it's nothing serious. Hey, you're so beautiful. Give me your number. You know, that happens a lot in most of our police stations. Some they even go and report the crime at night. The police station is closed. People are sleeping inside.
Well, there's no electricity, so they can't, you know. Exactly.
Now, here's my point. Then how do you now come tomorrow and read the stats and say, okay, we've got X amount of people that fall into that category? Because most cases, the stigma, they are not reported properly. The reporting, it's underreported. But at the same time, we need to protect our women, we need to protect our kids, even us as society. That is why it's so important, even the society that we built, for kids to grow up, to see that committing a crime, there is a punishment. Now, having said all that, remember, if you've got kids that are growing up, they can have easy access to a firearm. Tomorrow, the girlfriend makes them angry, they commit the same crime. So that's why we say we must jump on board and sort out these issues of crime. And people who commit these particular crimes, we must see them going to jail decisively. And issues of, you know, your rape kids in the police station, those are lacking. You know, they need to be ventilated and be sorted out. Should we cry off resources in the space? We need to call business forums to help us, because we're dealing with our communities here.
Willem, we spoke earlier about the many issues that the police are facing in terms of resources and morale and that kind of thing. But another major issue is the huge deficit of trust between the police and the members of the public, this case being one of them. But you can kind of set your clock. People roll their eyes when there's a high-profile crime case in South Africa. They say, oh, set your clock. In 3, 2, 1, the police minister is going to arrive. He's going to say, we're throwing everything behind this. And then in 3, 2, 1, they're going to arrest a few suspects. And then in 3, 2, 1, in a few days' time, they're going to be released on bail based on lack of evidence and that kind of thing. Where do the police even begin in trying to mend fences with the South African public?
Marcel, you're so right. You know, one of the challenges that we have in the first place on the gender-based violence is it's severely being underreported for various of the reasons that's been mentioned by Calvin. So being said that, one of the reasons for that is also the lack of trust of the police. We see that your trust levels are at an all-time low. And that is because of a lack of confidence in the police to solve the cases, the lack of confidence in the police to protect them, the lack of confidence in the police because of what is currently rampant within the police, your corruption levels that are extremely high. So all of that contribute to a severe lack in the police. We see that with hardly any of these syndicates that have been arrested in the recent weeks. There were no policemen that were also arrested. 1, 2 to 3 policemen were arrested with every syndicate, and that is a very big challenge for the public. It's a very big challenge for management. And then you mentioned something very important. You know, it starts the fish rots from the head. We can unpack this whole thing about the police till we're blue in the face. It starts at the head, and in this case at the political head. You know, your Minister of Police has been found unfit to be a police officer when he was the National Commissioner of Police. He was fired, and then they made him the police minister. Now that person does not have any background in policing. He doesn't have the know-how. He doesn't have the foundation to really lead and to take lead. But now we see on every crime scene, You know, there's a crime scene barrier that is being set up for a reason, and that is to keep people out that will not contribute to the case and to the solving of the case. So what on earth is a minister, a politician, doing on a crime scene, contaminating the scene and jeopardizing the investigation? You know, and that all for political points. We should move away from that. That is not the place of a politician to go on a crime scene speaking to the people that have been arrested, etc., etc. You know, in my experience and what we always had a rule of thumb, that once you enter the log, that you enter a crime scene, that you must submit a statement that will be added to the docket and that will then be investigated and also will have to contribute towards building the case. So if you cannot contribute to that case, you don't belong on that scene. And that is the long and the short about it.
The long and the short, and it could be a much longer conversation, but we thank you, gentlemen, for joining us this morning. Forensic investigator Calvin Rafadi and Willem from the Institute for Security Studies. Some great insight from both of you, gentlemen. Thank you so much for your time this morning, for that special focus.